Chapter 3 Serration. A day later, I was standing outside the Legion Games registration building. The line was moving slowly, but I had nowhere else to be. I never have anywhere else to be, I thought to myself. Shut up, I thought back. This is important. Don't get distracted. Name? I looked up in surprise. Sorry. The woman running the registration peered over her gold-framed glasses at me. Name and age and occupation. Uh, oh, Eddie Kingston, 22, and I don't have a job. The woman snorted and shook her head. Better hope you die in this, kid, 'cause if you get sent home, you'll have nothing to do once you're back. She held a small card over the desk to me. I glared at her, took it, and left. As I was walking home, I took a detour to the River of Souls. I sat on a bench, pulled out the small card, turned it over and over in my fingers, and stared into the river's dark water. The river was where people were laid to rest after they died. The bodies were washed out into the ocean and became fertilizer for the beautiful sea life in the Central Ocean. I stared at the water, and it stared back at me. Better hope you die in this, kid. I laughed, stood up, and began to walk home. Die. Huh, as if. 1 week later, I found myself in the grand hall of the Legion Games. A massive, open hall with a Victorian-style interior and golden pillars that stretched up to the ceiling. Said ceiling depicted the grand Legion Games of old in pastel paints that were clearly a few decades old. Maybe Mr. Hernandez painted them, I thought to myself, chuckling. There were scenes of combat and people working together, hand in hand, bathed in a mystical light. A scene of someone winning and performing the myriad ritual before ascending into the clouds alongside little angels and golden banners. It was astonishing how they made a blood sport look so peaceful. I had given the men at the front my card, and had been packed in with what seemed like 1 billion other people watching the stage at the front of the room. After what seemed like an eternity, a short, stout man walked onto the stage, dressed in a tailcoat and the biggest top hat I'd ever seen. I recognized him instantly. The announcer, a famous inclusion in the Legion Games, sort of like their mascot. As with any mascot, there was great speculation on how he had led hundreds of years of Legion Games. Theories online flew around constantly, from him being a robot, to multiple people wearing the same flesh-colored, hyper-realistic face mask, to even a mass hallucination caused by drugs in the air. The announcer looked around, and after a quick tap on the microphone, "Hello? Hello? Mic check!" He cleared his throat. "Hello, everyone! Welcome to the opening ceremony of this year's Legion Games. For those of you numpties who didn't do research about this sport, the details are as follows. You will all be split into teams of 5. Your teammates are your comrades, your brothers in arms. You will fight alongside them for the duration of this event. You will also be given your 10-shard weapon, henceforth known as your banner. Each banner has a special ability granted to you for use in the challenges. You may equip this to fight, heal, and move about, or any of the multiple other uses of the banners. You will not, however, be informed of your banner's ability. That you must figure out on your own. I gazed at the crowd. Then, please direct your attention to the screens above your head. These show the teams assigned at random unless otherwise instructed. Most people did not bring a teammate, but for those who did, rest assured, you are slotted in with them. I gazed up at the screens, scanning. Edward Kingston, where am I muttered to myself. After looking for a bit, I found my name under Team 45 and read off the names of my teammates to myself. Ahem. Teams, please assemble at your directed number room. The walls opened up into multiple hallways labeled with the team numbers inside. I made my way over to hallway 40 through 50 and down towards door 45. As I opened the door, I saw 2 people inside, one of which I recognized from the floating billboards I used to see. Light skin, blonde hair held back in a man bun, with the build and clothing of an engineer. He'd gotten older, but it was no doubt him. "Bob Glass," I exclaimed. He nodded his head at me. "The one and only." The renowned inventor of the Chimera engine, Bob Glass's face used to be on every SteelTech billboard on the planet, but there was some issue with funding and he left SteelTech. However, here I am under the name Assembly. I had been informed that is what we were to refer to our teammates as. Yeah, we all had to do a silly form stating that we joined of our own free will, which included the name we would be submitted in the competition as. The names apparently helped the proctors figure out which banners to give us. I chose my favorite mythological menace, Cerberus, as mine. "Yeah, of course. My bad," I said. "My name's Eddie, but you can call me Cerberus." Assembly seemed to enjoy the name, as he chuckled. I cast my gaze over at the other person there. Slender, with a fair complexion, with slick black hair that swept a few locks over their face. A simple t-shirt and jeans with a sweater tied around their waist. Not famous, I knew that. "That's Mystic," Assembly informed me. "They seemed nice before they fell asleep." Only at this statement did I realize that this person was snoozing away in their chair. As I moved closer for a better look, their eyes snapped open and focused on me. "Is there something you want, buddy?" they asked with a grimace. Very scary. "Oh, no, sorry, I began. "Ta! Boo! Oh man, you should have seen your face," they exclaimed. They then grinned at me and went on with, "Sorry about that. Name's Zariel, but you can call me Mystic." Uh, ah, well, nice to meet you. I'm Eddie, nicknamed Cerberus." They smiled even wider. You got 3 heads?" "Sadly, no." "Ah, shame." The door opened behind me as 2 others entered the room. One, an amber-skinned tall bloke with skinny build and spiky brown hair that was rocking the skater boy look. The other, a shorter, dark-skinned girl with black hair sporting dyed indigo highlights, held back in braids, wearing a tank top. The tall dude looked around and muttered something under his breath. Then he seemed to realize nobody had heard what he said and repeated it a bit louder. "Hi, I'm Josh. Codename is Torrential. Nice to meet you." He sounded quite robotic, but the girl saved him with a, "Hey, it's Torrential. I'm Sheila, but you can call me Artery. Nice to see the full team." As I looked across the room, I saw a group of good people, and with said people, my goal became clear. I promised myself not to throw them under the bus. I had to work with these people, because while I knew I didn't have good morals, they very well might, and they wouldn't deserve that. Yeesh, I thought to myself. Get a grip, bruv. Assembly looked up and said, "I've submitted the name request." We all looked at each other, and then back at him. "Name request?" Torrential asked. "Yeah, for our team name." Team name?" Mystic questioned. I looked at them. "Each team is given a collection of random words, able to put them together as they like. It's done so that we can be grouped by something other than number, and that we don't come up with a name that's too inappropriate for a blood sport." "And, what, pray tell, did you choose for the name?" Mystic gazed over towards Assembly. "One word. Serration." "Team Serration?" Arter repeated. I can get behind that." "Me too," I said. Me three," Torrential replied. Mystic nodded in agreement. "Sounds good." "Well then, dears," Assembly said calmly. "We are hereby known as Serration." I looked up and saw a little screen above our door bleep to life, displaying the word Serration. This is the end of this half of Chapter 3. Thank you for listening in. The second half of Chapter 3 will be up on my YouTube very soon, while I work on dubbing it. My YouTube is Vaporwave Sunrise Book. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.